Hello, my fellow chatterers. You just missed a calamity before I started recording. I have my phone precariously balanced on top of a stool, balanced on top of a table on which there is my hot cup of tea and my little gimmicky tiny teacup. And amazingly, the phone fell off, hit both tea things, and the phone hasn't cracked. This has survived, and I only had one drop of scalding tea land on my foot. So win, 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 win. Hello, anyone else who is new to the channel and you've popped in because you're curious or you're lost and have promptly left again because what the hell is she talking about? I am Chatty and I like to chat away madly about books or chaos or just anything. Give me a topic, I will talk, but mainly books. It is a book focused channel and they are my favourite thing to talk about. And today I have a haul. I am doing my autumn books I have gathered to me and have put on my shelves over the last 3 months. So this is September, October, November. For those of you who haven't seen one of my hauls before, I do this thing. No, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's gimmick, or this is just being clutched in my hands. So I don't edit my videos. I do them all in one shot. It saves a lot of time, but it means we welcome in chaos and you don't get like fancy writing or other wonderful things that lovely editing people do. So if you're someone who enjoys lovely edited videos, you are in the wrong place. If you like chaos, welcome. Take a chair. This is your home. Cheers, everyone. So, as I was saying, the way I do hauls is ever so slightly different and possibly has added to why I have joined the Read What You Own challenge and said I'm not going to buy books. Because when I buy books, I put them under my bed and I can't have them. I'm not allowed those books. I have to earn them with healthy points. Sometimes I will allow myself to buy a book. Sometimes I would deliberately say to myself, I am buying a book, and it's like a let's try that again. It is a deliberate plan. I feel I would like a particular book and I will buy that. But generally, when I'm book buying, whether it's charity shops, whether I've decided to do a little spree in some wonderful independence bookshops or in Waterstones, or I have succumbed to the lure of the supermarket bargains, or I've been on World of Books and gone crazy, they go under my bed. That's what happens. And I earn them through healthy points. So this can be things that's good for my mental health, like taking my brain medicine, well done me. Doing things like drinking water or going to bed on time, physical health stuff like not eating junk food. I try and set myself like I'm allowed 2 single things. So that could be a biscuit or 2 squares of chocolate. So I couldn't have any more than that because sometimes you just need something. And trying to have more fruit and vegetables and all those sorts of things culminate in me getting healthy points. I have a system, it's quite complicated, but I understand it and I'm allowed to kind of tailor it to me. So if I'm going through a hard time, I will be kinder on myself. If I've been slacking off, I will pull my socks up and sort myself out a bit more, but it works for me. It's my own little system. But basically I give myself a certain amount of points and then I earn a book from under the bed. And then it goes on my shelf. So these are, once it's on my shelf, they become part of the haul. So I don't haul books that go under the bed. And I'm now not allowed to buy myself books for under the bed. That is until I have read a certain amount of books on my shelves. If you're interested in more about that, that is the Read What You Own challenge, which I will link and you can go and have a look at that. Created by Olly. Wonderful challenge, lots of people excited, fun times. Anyway, books. So I'm going to go through what books I've earned over the last few months. I'm also going to do a library haul and books I borrowed from my mum, some books that my mum has bought for me because she's lovely, and book boxes. So there we go, we can do all of those bits and pieces. So let's start. I'm going to drink tea because I've already been talking already and my voice is already going. It's really hot though. Don't know about anyone else. Can you drink tea straight away? So kettle boils, in it goes, here's a cup of tea. I have to leave it to cool down. Like, it burns my tongue and I don't like it. Yeah, this is drinkable now. Which is good, because I need to drink it. Okay, so September. Way back in the end of the summer, early autumn. I earned 2 books. I can't remember why. Obviously September was still a bit challenging for me, but I earned 2 books. One of which is The Wilful Prince and the Piebald Prince by Robin Hobb. This is a novella. Robin Hobb is a fantasy author, and it delights me that so many more people on the BookTube corner that I am existing in are reading her books, because I think they're absolutely wonderful. If you want more Hobb, go and see Derri from Derri's read it before. She is the Hobb guru. This particular book it fits in between, I'd say it's at the start of the Tawny trilogy. So before you start the Tawny trilogy, you don't have to, because it was published after, but I think you get more from the Tawny trilogy if you read this book first. So it's very cute, just a little one. There is some lovely illustrations in here. I did remember the artist the last time I showed this book, because I have already read this one. Hold on, let's find this. So the illustrations are by Jackie Morris, and they are really, really beautiful. It has a very kind of like, it's like a folk tale or like a legend from the Six Duchies where the stories take place. So that was the first one I earned, and I've read that one now. The second one I earned is Pages and Co by Anna James. So this is Tilly and the Bookwanderers. It is the start of a middle grade book series that I'm really keen to read. I have not yet started. I think it was on a September TBR and I ended up not reading it. So I haven't started it yet, and now I'm kind of reluctant to start it just because I want to get more series finished before I dive into new ones. But who knows, this could be a 2023. I definitely really want to read it. I'm really excited about it. It just sounds so much fun. Tilly works in a bookshop, wonderful, loves books, don't we all? And I can't remember, because I don't like knowing that much about books before I go into them, if people come out of the books or she goes into the books. But anyway, it sounds delightful and I can't wait to read this. I tracked this hardcover down. So the hardcovers, I think the third one was just coming into print by the time I discovered this series. And I saw someone's hardcover. I was like, oh, I really want the hardcover. So I managed to track this down. Thank you, World of Books. So let me show you what is under this beautiful dust jacket. I mean, I love the cover anyway. I love the kind of the concept of going into a Pages, and we've got Anne of Green Gables and Alice in Wonderland in this kind of like tunnel of writing. And then underneath the dust jacket, we have got printed onto the hardback all of these kind of book pages and some shadows of characters from these books. We've got a teapot. It says, a bookshop is like a map of the world, wonder and magic. And we've got some cakes, we've got some more books, and we've got a silhouette of Anne. I'm not sure who this figure is, but that is quite intriguing. And then on the back, we've got a silhouette of a cat, a bowler hat, a pipe, a typewriter, and it says mischief and adventure. And I haven't read what the pages are, but I feel they are from kind of stories that are kind of classics and you don't need copyright for, or ones that are in here. Anyway, I'm intrigued. Once I start reading this, I will see what these are, but I just love all of that under the dust jacket. And the end pages have got this nice patterning on too. We've got a teal colour here and sort of like, I think it's a mixture between like a star and a flower symbol. It's quite hard to tell, and a little bee as well. And we get this nice little bee on the spine. So yes, very, very excited to eventually get onto this series. So those are the two that I earned. I do have a third, but I didn't earn this one. I won it when I played my Bookworms and Book Ladders game, and I finally pulled out a Fiegel, which meant I got to steal a book from under my bed. So that was a great prompt to get, and I have read this one. So this is the final book in the adult epic fantasy series by Jen Lyons, which is The Discord of Gods. First book being The Ruin of Kings, and the series is called The Chorus of Dragons. Oh my goodness, this is one of my favourite series. I absolutely love it, and it was delightful. I got this again from World of Books, and it has purple sprayed edges, which was such a joyful thing. My fourth one also has sprayed edges, but my first three don't. So maybe I will research how to do your own sprayed edges, and I will do that at some stage in my life. It's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon, but maybe. So there we go. So there's my 3 from September. October was continuous of the crazy, and it was also Halloween, and I only earned 1 book. Only 1 for October. I was not healthy in October. I think it was also that it's getting dark, it's getting colder. The really hasn't been that cold because of global warming. But yeah, I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't going to bed. I was trying to do loads of stuff. I was ignoring all back exercises. I wasn't eating well. Only 1 book was earned in the whole month of October. So striving to do better. But this book is another book that I tracked down on World of Books. It is the 2nd book in the YA fantasy duology, Even the Darkest Stars. This is All the Wandering Light. I read Even the Darkest Stars February, I think it was. And when I read it, I was like, well, I need to read the 2nd book, but I wanted it in hardback to match. And then it only just recently came into my hands, which I also talk about in my challenge, read what you own challenge, because anyway, let's ignore that. Tangents, right. This is the only book I earned in October. It's by Heather Fawcett. It is a polar fantasy. And for all of these books, I'll be leaving the Storygraph links. So if you want more of a synopsis about what they are about, then please go and click their links and you will get a better synopsis. I kind of don't like to say what things are about, because I know I just want to go off kind of themes and vibes, and if people whose reading tastes align with mine enjoyed them, then that makes me want to pick up the book rather than having a synopsis. But if you are different, please go and read the synopsis. Look at the cover of this. This is beautiful. We've got this absolutely gorgeous sky, like a sort of like a sunrisey sunset sky. So we've got the wonderful pinks and oranges into the deep purples and dark of the sky, and then these wonderful mountains. And then here we have, you can't really see them because they're hidden in the shadows, our characters. But I love the artwork on this cover, and I'm hoping to be reading this in December and finishing this duology. I'm excited for it. All the winter vibes, yes please. So that brings me on to November, where I did do much better in November. I think because I was so bad in October, I was like, right, no, come on, we can do this. So I earned 4 books in November, which is great. But all of these books I earned after I began the Read What You Own challenge. So now I own them, but they're not going to count for the challenge, because all of those books from when I started the challenge are the ones that need to be read before I can buy books again. So these don't count to the 21 I set myself as a goal, because otherwise I kind of feel it defeats the object, because I don't include the books under my bed in that challenge. They have to be on my shelves. So it's kind of like, by earning the books, I am putting more books on my shelves, but I need to keep earning them because it's what encourages me to be healthy. That's my rationale behind it anyway. So first book is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I've been so excited about this one for a really long time. It has been under my bed for quite a while. Because it's in the hardcover, and I wanted it in the hardcover because I think I'm really going to like it. So I wanted it to be in this lovely hardcover. And we have, under the dust jacket, we have this beautiful kind of like deep plum colour, which I really enjoy. So this is based, from what I know, it is based on it's inspired by Passing by Nella Larsen, which I read not earlier this year, but read previously. And it looks at the idea of 2 sisters who can pass for white, but they are black, and they make different life choices, and we see that through the generations. So it does explore race and what it means to people, and kind of your kind of self-identity within all of that. So I'm really looking forward to kind of the themes that are dealt with in this book, and I hope I love the writing and the characters. We will see. I have then earned Fool's Fate which is the third book in the Tawny trilogy. So I had already got the other two, so I didn't need to earn them. So this is the third one. It finishes out the Tawny trilogy. I love Hobb. I can't wait to read this in December. It's going to be amazing. And I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. Don't look up what this one's about. Look up Assassin's Apprentice, which is the first book in the Realm of the Elderling series. Or go to Derri's channel and let her guide you. The third book I've earned is Twice We Wake Magic by Sarah Driver, which is a middle grade fantasy. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for this. It's one of my highly anticipated books. I loved Once We Were Witches. I think that needs so much more recognition of the joy that is in that book. And I can't wait to keep reading. And it has been signed by the author because I pre-ordered it and she is local to one of my bookshops. So that made me happy. And the final book, literally just earned. And it is one that's been under my bed for a really long time. And it's its moment. I was looking, what did I fancy to reward myself? And I'm like, I think it's time. I think it is time for The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. This is a magical realism book. So it's part historical, part fantasy. On the front cover, you can see this fantastic picture of this wonderful like moonlight tree and all its roots going down into the earth and all the branches going up into the sky, and kind of woven between them is a mixture of like leaves and shells and music notes and planets. There is a necklace hanging from one of the branches as well. I'm just so intrigued by this cover. And I just think it's so beautiful. It's all done in different shades of blue. And I love it. And it is, the cover did draw me in. The cover definitely drew me in and caught my attention when I saw people talking about it 2 years ago now. Yes, it was published in 2020, so it was 2 years ago. I've heard a mixture of things. I think if you like magical realism, you will enjoy this. But I think if you're a fantasy reader that doesn't like magical realism, you won't enjoy it so much. I've not read any Marie Lu before, so I am excited to read this one. And it is the story of Mozart's sister. So it says on the back, I am the sister, the other Mozart, and her story is mine. And then we've got these two planets. The end pages in this, we have gorgeous maps. So part of the story, I think, is exploring the lives of Mozart and his sister as children, and the fact that as a child, I don't even know her name, Marianne Mozart, can play and be seen to be playing and be celebrated along with her brother. But once they start turning into adults, he gets all the fame and glory and she's now supposed to be a wife and not play music anymore. So it's got feminism connotations in there. Connotation's the right word. I really want to say it. It feels like that's what I want to say. But I have to admit, I don't actually know the full meaning of it. It just felt right. So let's not use that word. It has feminism themes in the book. And this is a map of Europe, and I believe, it's just totally going to guess, maybe where they toured and visited places. I will find out when I read it. And then at the back, Mozart and his sister made up this like magical make-believe world. And I think this story puts them into it as though that world is real. And this is a map of the Kingdom of Back, which is their magical world. So I just love it. We've got the Starfish's Realm, the Fields of Edelweiss, the Land Bridge, the Ogre's Cottage, the Castle on the Hill, the Witch's Grotto, and the Upside Down Forest. So I'm really keen to read this one to find out all about it. So there we go. That's the final book I earned, The Kingdom of Back. Okay. So I'm now going to move on to library books, maybe? No, I'll talk about books that I borrowed from my mum and ones that she gave me. So end of October, I went to go and see my mum. It was half term. Had a lovely time going to visit her and my dad with my kids. It was a really great time. I hadn't been to Lincoln for such a long time because lockdown, basically. Lockdown and life. So it was so lovely to be back there, and me and Mum had a great time with books. And I borrowed some books, but she also gave me some books that she bought in a charity shop for me. So I have here 2 hardback books by L.M. Montgomery, and they are 2 collections of short stories. This edition was published in, I think it's the 50s. It doesn't say, you know how it goes like this edition published? It's not telling me, it's just telling me about all the reprints. Yeah, it's the 50s. So these books are both kind of hardbacks from the 1950s of the Chronicles of Avonlea and the Further Chronicles of Avonlea. So these are stories set in the Anne of Green Gables world, and they feature some characters that we know. Like Anne appears in a couple of the stories, but she's not like the main character. And if you just enjoy L.M. Montgomery's writing, then there are some absolute delights in here. There are definitely stories that are stronger than I have read these before. My mum has them, so I'm now delighted to have my own copies, but not only my own copies in this fantastic hardback. Where was I going? Oh yeah, so there are some stories that are better than other ones, that I enjoy more than other ones. There are some problematic stories in here. I think I've mentioned before, you know, like with most classics, when you look at things through a modern day lens, and I do think it's still important that we have that modern day lens when we do look through things, and are aware as we are reading that these viewpoints are no longer acceptable. And I think it is important when you're going in, if you are someone that may be triggered by things, that you check the trigger warnings, especially when you're looking at more classical books written years ago. So there is definitely Tanis of the Flats is problematic. It is set on a reservation. It's been a long time since I've read it. I can't remember the full details. I knew as a child I didn't enjoy that story because I felt sad for Tanis, and really hurt for her. And then I think as an adult, realising that Tanis is someone of Indigenous, she is an Indigenous person, it feels worse when you read it. These books were written, Tanis of the Flats is in the Further Chronicles of Avonlea, and it was, okay, it says it was first published in Britain in 1925. That doesn't tell me when it was written, because obviously L.M. Montgomery is Canadian, and it doesn't tell me when these were published in Canada at all, so I don't know. So yes, just be careful when you're reading them, but there are some absolutely delightful stories. In Chronicles of Avonlea, there is one called Old Man Shaw's Girl, which is such a delightful story of a father and his daughter coming back to Avonlea. There's some really funny ones, and some just that wonderful heart that you get from the Anne books. They are in here, so I'm delighted to have my own copies. Thanks, Mum. Natter did good on her book buying. So I have this little box of books here, which has got my borrowed from Mum and library books in. So let me pull out the ones I've borrowed from Mum, if I can get hold of them, which I can't. So yeah, I did do some videos with my mum when I was there, and we spoke about our favourite childhood books, and we also did some guest of book covers. And as we were doing that, it reminded me of some books that I have forgotten about that I'd like to read, that I'd like to reread, and also books that I know she's absolutely adored that I haven't read yet that I want to read. Totally planned for this to be a short video, and we're already on 20 minutes. So this is The Witch's Brat by Rosemary Sutcliffe. It is a little tiny middle grade. It is how many pages? 112 pages. It's a historical fiction. I love Rosemary Sutcliffe's historical fiction. I have not read them as an adult, I don't think. I think I've definitely been a teenager, because I took some of my favourites, like The Armourer's House and Brother Dusty Feet, to uni with me. But as an adult, especially since being on BookTube, I have not reread. But I really do want to. I do want to reread them. And Witch's Brat I don't think I've ever reread, so I'm really keen to see this one. It has a story of a boy who is physically disabled. I can't remember what his physical disability is exactly, but obviously he is treated badly by the society of the time. It's set in a medieval world. I can't remember the exact. Okay, it's the reign of the Henry I in England, so that's like early 1100s or like 1000. I'm not entirely sure, but he was like, I think he was like the third king of England after the Norman conquest. So we're very early in the medieval world. There's a cathedral being built, and I think he's involved in that. I think there's a lot of prejudice around him and also his guardian, who I think they call a witch. And I'm really excited to reread and see what happens in this book, because I've completely forgotten it. Now these two books I have never read, and Mum has read them both recently and loved them. The first being Asha and the Spirit Bird by Jasbinder Bilan. Mum says this is a really lovely adventure and has got some really nice Hindu mythology and folklore in it as well, so I'm really keen to pick this one up and enjoy the story. I haven't read any books that has got Hindu folklore in it, so I'm really keen to read that. Also, the cover is just beautiful. Just look at that cover. We've got such beautiful, I love the colour palette in there. We've got the orange of the tiger and the eagle, who I presume is a spirit bird. It might not be an eagle, but I'm calling it an eagle for now. We've got these gorgeous pink flowers and some purple mountains. It's just beautiful. Another beautiful cover, we have The Map of Leaves by Yarrow Townsend. And this is a middle grade book again. I think it's like an adventure story. I think there's a quest. Natter said that it does look a lot at like kind of like friendships and families and kind of your own self-worth type of thing. There was a kind of a lot of character development that she really enjoyed in this. So again, amazing cover. We've got a boat going down sort of like a rapids river. We've got some gorgeous tree leaves that look like trees on the front here. And then on the back, we've got some cogs, which is interesting, and kind of more of the murky brown bottom of this river. And then we have some French flaps. Ta-da! And then underneath the French flaps, we have a key amongst some purple leaves and a compass illustration on the other side. And then on the back, we have the same thing. So I'm excited to read this too. No idea when I'm going to do it. I'm trying to go into 2023 without set plans, but they're starting to form. They're starting to form already. January, it's almost like I feel as full. It's filled myself up with books I want to read. I haven't even started reading December books yet, and there's talk of books potentially for February and March. I'm like, no, put your blinkers on. Don't make plans. I don't want them. But at the same time, I can't resist them. Okay, now on to library books. So I think myself going, not buying any more books. It's almost like made me go back into the library with a vengeance. It's like I've been using the library, but like, you know, once or twice. I've now kind of gone in and gone, oh, what have you got for me? And just gone a little bit mad, but we will see. Oh, that one needs to go back to the library. I've already shown you that book, you don't need to see it again. So I have got Danger at Dead Man's Pass, which is the fourth book in the Adventures on Trains. It's a middle grade, it's a mystery book. It's by M.G. Leonard and Sam Sedgman. I'm really enjoying this series. I wanted to go have a wintry one that I'm hoping to read in December, but we will see what happens. And I'm excited for it. We then have Nura and the Immortal Palace, which again I showed off as a possibility for me to read in December. We have this absolutely gorgeous, we've got this peek through and we've got this gorgeous painted skyline, and just kind of this building just looks amazing. And dragon boats by the look of it. Welcome to the world of magic, splendour and trickery. Welcome to the world of the Djinn. So Nura and the Immortal Palace, I think, is possibly a desert fantasy. I'm looking forward to finding out. It just sounds really cool. It's another middle grade fantasy. I can't resist them. I then have Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars, which is another book that I'm planning on reading in December. This is it's written as though it's a memoir, but it's not a memoir. It's by Kai Cheng Thom, and it is, I've heard it's kind of a blend of contemporary with a bit of magical realism in it. So I'm really keen to see how it all goes down. But it features a character who is trans. It's supposed to be really, really funny, but also have some great messages in it as well. So I'm excited to pick it up and read it. It's only small. Doesn't seem that big. How many pages is it? Oh, it's less than 200 pages, so I feel like a nice one to kind of dip into. This is the latest library book I hauled. I was not going to get any more. I went to the library with my children, happy for them to get books out. I was not going to buy any, borrow any, but I couldn't resist this one. So this is Ignatius. This is a children's kind of fictional series about people of history. So it's historical, but it's made fictional, if that makes sense. It's by Judy Hepburn. I know nothing about this author. I know nothing about this series. It's called My Story. But this one is about Ignatius Sancho. And I have just read the Lizzie and Belle mysteries, first one being Drama and Danger, that was released last year. And one of the main characters is Lizzie Sancho, the daughter of Ignatius Sancho. So I really want to read more about Lizzie's dad and find out more of the kind of historical side. It's middle grade tone, so I feel it's going to be fun than just reading a history book that could feel more dry. And once I saw it, I couldn't not get it, because I've already said, I would kind of like to find out more about these historical characters that the books were based on. So here we go. It fell into my hands. Again, it's only tiny, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to read it at some point. But even if I never get around to it, it's good for the book to know people are interested. It's good for the library and the authors to know people want to read these stories. This one I picked up because I've seen so many people talking about it. It was kind of more last year that it was more popular. It sounds really interesting. It's if I felt like picking up a romance. It's called One Last Stop. It's by Casey McQuiston. It features a sapphic romance. And it's got a bit of time travel in it, I think, as far as I know. So it's kind of like romance, but with a mystery. So yeah, I hear really good things about it, and I would like to read it. I don't know when, but if I felt like I wanted to pick up a romance, then I have one, because I saw it and was like, yoink. It could go back to the library and I could get it out another time. We will find out. I then have an adult book that I have started reading. It is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. And this is because I have joined the FOMO book club, which is run by Alice in the Giant Bookshelf, Jack from Spread Book Joy, and Jem from Gem of Books. I will link the announcement video talking about that, so you can find out more if you want to. But this is the November-December book. I have started it. I have read, I don't even think I've read the first chapter. No, I've started it. I'm enjoying the authorial voice, and I'm keen to read more, but it is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So it's going to be interesting to try and fit in to somewhere. Yeah, it's just over 400 pages. So we will see. I was hoping I could get the audiobook, but my library doesn't have it. So that's a shame. And final book, again, that I couldn't resist picking up. I just saw it and I was like, no, don't pick it up. You don't need to read it. You've got so many things you need to read. But then I was just like, oh, but it's there. It's looking at me. It wants to come home with me. I feel excited for it. It's one that if I was in full throw of my books I won't buy them, then I probably would have bought it. This is the second book in the Cloud Horse Chronicles by Chris Riddell. I've no idea how many they are. They're more kind of like stories by themselves, but set in this world and kind of following on from each other in terms of the history of the world. So I don't know if there's just going to be 2 or if he plans to write any more. I'm not sure. But this is Tiggy Thistle and the Lost Guardians. So here we have Tiggy Thistle on the front, and we have these characters who are part of the story. And when I read the first book, I recognised stuff that happened in the first book that we're seeing in a different light slightly in this one. Kind of a continuation on of the different creatures of that book, and that they may have behaved badly in that book and they're behaving nicer in this one. We've got new villains in this one. We've got the mystery of what has happened to the cloud horses because they're not around anymore. And it's illustrated by Chris Riddell, and it has all of his wonderful whimsy. Can't really see the map because it's under the dust jacket, but I think there is a better one. Yeah, here's a cloud horse, look. There it is. It's a Pegasus with some nice big wings. Here we go. Here's a proper map. We do love a map. So we have the Great Wood. We have the town of Nightingale. We have the Tumble Downs, the Western Mountains, the Wilds, Troutwine, the village of Beam, the Grey Hills, and this is all in the land of Thrin. This book features some magical artifacts. It features some adorable characters. So there we have Tiggy with her snow badger guardian on an ice boat. So it has great wintry feels to it. I think you possibly could read this one without having read the other one and still get that sense of adventure and fun, and all the wonderful whimsy. But I think you get more from it if you read the first one first. And my final book from the library is one that I kind of just want to stop recording and carry on reading, and that is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. This book has never been touched by any other reader other than me. I am the first one to get hold of it, which feels quite exciting when you know this book is going to go on and be read by loads and loads of other people. It feels quite exciting to know that you're the first one to have had it, to have held it. I don't know why, but it just does. I might leave I don't want to write in it because that just feels really rude, but I might leave a little post-it in it just saying hope you have fun with the book, it was great, or for something more interesting than that, but along those lines, because I think that might be quite nice. Maybe I'll do it with all the library books from now on. It could be fun. So yeah, I can't wait to start reading this. It is the final book in Era 2, the Mistborn Saga series, whatever you want to call it. It's part of the Cosmere fantasy series by Brandon Sanderson. It's really exciting. I'm having a great time. And when I finish recording, I intend to just pick this up and carry on reading. Probably shouldn't. I probably should sort out a load of other stuff, but I don't want to. I just want to finish reading. And that brings me on to the book boxes. So that was all that's the library haul. You may be getting an idea of why I set my goal of 20 and feel like I'm not going to manage to read 20 books I own, because I've been massively distracted by library books, which is all self-inflicted. It's all self-inflicted. So I have 2 books from the Shelterbox book club. The first being The Mountains Sing by, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm so sorry, Nguyen Phan Kyu Mei. Look at the cover. I need to clean it because I pulled the sticker off and bits of fluff have stuck to the sticky, so I do need to clean it. I'm just going to put my hand over it so you can't see the mess. This is The Mountains Sing. It is set in Vietnam. I've not read any books set in Vietnam. It is historical. It starts off in 1972. I'm not sure where it goes from there. I don't need to know where it goes from there. I heard, I can't remember her channel name, but she's called Eghe. I will link her channel. She's so much fun. I love hearing her gush about books or be like, what is this book about? I really enjoy her. But hearing her talk about this one, she loved it. She absolutely loved this book. So I was watching her going, I need to put that on my list. That sounds amazing. She also raved about the cover, and as you can see, it's so beautiful. It's like this wonderful kind of like painted golden yellow sky. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but these bits here are gold foiling. And then you just have this kind of, it's not a silhouette, but it's like not a detailed picture of a person, who I presume is the main character of the book. And it does just look beautiful. And Eghe kept saying, buy yourself a Coke. Whoever has done this has definitely earned himself a Coke. So I could not look at this book without thinking, I should drink a Coke whilst reading this. But I wrote it on my list. I was like, really need to read that book. And then we got the parcel through of the next book. So you can vote on the book, but I just want to be surprised. I'm just going to wait and see what comes through my letterbox. And this was the book, and I opened it and went, oh, so excited. So excited. So thank you very much, Shelterbox, for picking this book. It's delightful. And the second book that I got from them, so that was the beginning of Sept. It's a 6 weekly RotE that you get the books on. So that was the beginning of September, and this was the end of October. So this one is Typhoon by Quazaria Shadrez. Again, apologies for my pronunciation. It is a book set in Pakistan. It follows 3 very, very different women. And I'm intrigued to see what happens. I feel this is one that I'm either really gonna love, or it's gonna be one that I appreciate the story, but it's not necessarily going to be one for me. Not what word is, but there's a type of story where it's very kind of character based, but very kind of character based set in this world. And it's very much about kind of families and kind of hits more on areas that I'm not necessarily as interested in others. I can't quite explain what it is, but in my head, I'm like, yes, it's that type of book that I can read and enjoy, but I'm not necessarily that fussed about. But it could go into a complete kind of more really feminist look. It could have a lot more of, give a wonderful kind of insight into life in Pakistan. I don't know. The writing could be amazing. The characters could be amazing. I don't know. I don't know what this book is going to be like. I don't know what I'm going to get from it. I haven't researched it because I don't like to. And at some point I'm going to pick it up and enjoy it. So we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. I nearly said that's it, but it's not. I've got my fairy loot. You've already heard me talk about this one if you have been on my channel a lot, and that is Belladonna. I had an amazing time with this book. This is by Adeline Grace. This was the September. This is the September fairy loot. The cover is slightly different. It's got a much kind of darker tone, which I kind of prefer. The other one is more lilac based. You've still got all these lovely purple tones, but you kind of got much more of a darkness, which I kind of feel fits the story a lot better. I like how Belladonna is written right across the middle, and then you've got these 2 different birds and flowers. So you've got the flowers and a bird that's alive, and then you've kind of got a dead bird corpse and some Belladonna berries. And then I really enjoy, if I can get it out, the Naked book as well. So you've got printed onto the hardcover. Again, you've got Belladonna written across, and then you've got pictures of the flowers, and then kind of the darkening ones of them with berries, which is beautiful. And then also these edges, we've got this gorgeous kind of like bluey purple, and then a stenciling of plant life. Yeah, the Belladonna berries. And then of course you get these beautiful end pages here. So we have Signet and Death with all its gothic-y vibes. And having read the book, like, I love those pictures. So yeah, this one was so much fun. So much fun. Enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to. And I'm so delighted because I do think this whole book is a really beautiful book. And so I like it when the book matches the story. Now 2 that I haven't read. So this was the October box. I haven't received the November yet. I think there's been a delay, so that will just have to go into the next haul, which will be like the wintry one. So it was very exciting. November, we got 2 books. Not November, October. We got 2 books. So the first is a paperback. We've got a very different cover. This is Princess of Souls by Alexandra Christo. We've got orange sprayed edges. We've got this wonderful green snake around the outside and some moon phases. I think there's kind of a fairy tale, like a twist on a fairy tale from this one. Again, I'm not trying to read too much about it because I like to go in knowing very little about my books. So again, it's going to be linked. Have a look at Storygraph. And then the main feature book was One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So we've got a little bit of foiling. I think this cover is pretty much the same as is on the other ones. We've got green, a really dark green sprayed edges around here. And we have a reversible dust jacket, so we can put this artwork on the book instead. I use either. And on the cover underneath the dust jacket, we have very dark leaf foliage going on. We've got this silver outline of this portrait with a little moon, and then a figure with glowing eyes. It could be a werewolf, it could be some sort of demon spirit, I have no idea. And again, more dark foliage on the back. End pages are beautifully illustrated. We have two characters here, no idea who they are. And then there we go, the creature looks more wolf-like once we open the book. And then again, we have some more characters on the back in the woods here. So definitely feels really, really creepy. Feels very kind of like dark fairy tale. So I'm intrigued to know what it's going to be like when I get around to reading it. So yeah, that is all the books. There we go. That is all the books I've hauled. Flippin' heck, it's taken over 45 minutes. Sorry. Anyway, they're all now going to go back into their homes and I'm going to do some reading. Let me know, how has hauling been for you these last few months? Are you taking part in the Read What You Own challenge? How is that going for you? Do you have any book subscription boxes? Are you having a great time with them? Do you use your library? Have you read any of these? Do you recommend? I always love a chat. Happy reading, everyone.